Behind every polished Ferrari and million-dollar auction, Wayne Carini was hiding something. The man who built a classic car empire and captivated millions on TV for over a decade seemed to have it all. But what cameras never showed were the sleepless nights, the daughter who needed constant care, and the devastating losses that nearly destroyed him. From a childhood spent earning $5 a week in his father's garage to facing lawsuits that threatened everything he built, Wayne's story isn't about cars at all. It's about a man who kept driving forward, even when the road ahead disappeared into darkness. Wayne Carini's hands were covered in grease before he could even spell his own name. Born in Portland, Connecticut in 1951, he grew up in the shadow of his father's auto restoration shop, where Bob Carini worked miracles on forgotten classics. Bob wasn't just any mechanic. He was a WW5 veteran, a Purple Heart recipient who came home and poured everything into restoring America's automotive history. For young Wayne, weekends meant traveling to car shows, watching his father showcase perfectly restored Lincolns and Packards. But behind the glamour was grueling work. Wayne earned $5 a week sweeping floors, washing parts, and learning wrench sizes. Most kids would have run from that life. Wayne fell deeper into it. Then came 1960, the moment that changed everything. At just 9 years old, Wayne slid behind the wheel of a Ferrari 250 SWB Rosso Chiaro. His feet barely touched the pedals, but the roar of that engine ignited something primal. He was hooked for life. Yet even then, Wayne dreamed of escape. Architecture school, maybe teaching. His father had different plans. After graduation, Bob handed Wayne an offer he couldn't refuse: 50% of the family business. Success in the car world came fast for Wayne. He mastered Ferrari restoration under legendary mentors, built 3 thriving businesses, and married his wife Lori in 1980. They welcomed 2 daughters, Lindsay and Kimberly, and life seemed perfect in their hand-built log cabin in Connecticut. Then came the call that stops time. Kimberly was diagnosed with severe autism at just 2 years old. The developmental disorder would affect her communication, social interaction, and require full-time attention for the rest of her life. For Wayne and Lori, everything changed overnight. Suddenly, the man who could restore a $1 million Ferrari to perfection couldn't fix what mattered most. The guilt ate at him. He threw himself deeper into work. But Kimberly's needs demanded something more than money. Wayne made a choice. He transformed his pain into purpose, becoming one of autism awareness's most passionate advocates. He partnered with Autism Speaks, organized fundraising car shows, and used his growing fame to raise millions for research. The most powerful move? Restoring a 1949 Buick Roadmaster from the movie Rain Man for director Barry Levinson. That car became Wayne's rolling billboard for autism awareness, traveling the country to events and raising consciousness wherever it went. Wayne never wanted to be on television. He was content in his garage, buying and restoring classics for wealthy collectors like David Letterman and tennis legend Ivan Lendl. But in 2008, producer Jim Ostrowski had been reading about Wayne in automotive circles and saw something special. The result was Chasing Classic Cars, a documentary series that would run for 17 seasons and make Wayne a household name. The premise was simple. Follow Wayne as he hunted rare vehicles hidden in barns, estates, and forgotten garages across America and beyond. Unlike other reality shows, this one felt real. Wayne didn't always make money. Some restorations flopped at auction, some deals fell through. Viewers loved the authenticity, and the show became one of Velocity Channel's biggest hits, eventually moving to Motor Trend. Wayne's straight-talking style and genuine passion made him relatable. But fame came with a price. The pressure to film, travel constantly, and maintain 3 businesses while caring for Kimberly stretched him thin. His wife Lori became his anchor, managing business negotiations and being the first person he turned to for advice. Despite accumulating an estimated $20 million net worth, Wayne never moved from that same log cabin. He stayed grounded, even as the world watched. December 26, 2015, the day after Christmas. Wayne's mother, Rosemary, passed away at age 89. Before the family could even process the grief, tragedy struck again. January 5, 2016. His father, Bob, died at 93, just 10 days after his wife. 2 funerals, 2 empty chairs at the dinner table, 2 pieces of Wayne's foundation ripped away in less than 2 weeks. Those who knew Wayne said he visited his parents daily during their final years, sitting with them, sharing stories about cars and grandchildren. Bob had been more than a father. He was Wayne's mentor, business partner, and the reason the Carini name meant something in the automotive world. Bob co-founded the Model A Restorers Club of America and received Lifetime Achievement Awards. He'd appeared on Chasing Classic Cars multiple times, charming audiences with his knowledge and wit. Now, he was gone. Wayne did what he always did. He worked. In one of the most emotional episodes ever filmed, Wayne searched desperately for a rare Ford Model A400 his father had owned and sold decades earlier. Bob had asked Wayne to find it and buy it back. Wayne tracked it all the way to Arizona, purchasing it as a final promise kept, but no car could fill that void. Just as Wayne was rebuilding from his parents' deaths, a new nightmare emerged. In 2017, Wayne purchased what he thought was a pristine 1934 Pierce Arrow coupe. The car had impeccable documentation, a clean history, and everything checked out. He appraised it, bought it in good faith, and moved on. Except the car was stolen. Australian collector Robert Richmond had paid $98,000 for that same Pierce Arrow back in 2010 through an intermediary named Gary Dixo. Dixo was supposed to store and eventually ship the car to Australia. Instead, he sold it to Wayne 7 years later using fraudulent paperwork. When Richmond discovered the truth in 2018, he filed a massive lawsuit naming Wayne and F40 Motorsports among the defendants. The media pounced. Headlines screamed about Wayne Carini being involved in stolen car scandals. Though the court ultimately cleared Wayne of any wrongdoing, he genuinely had no idea about the fraud. The damage was irreversible. Clients questioned his judgment. Competitors whispered. A separate 2011 dispute involving a Lamborghini Gallardo sale and missing luxury luggage resurfaced, adding fuel to the fire. For a man whose reputation was built on trust and expertise, these controversies felt like betrayal. Wayne tightened his documentation processes and addressed every concern publicly. But some stains don't wash away. The 17th season of Chasing Classic Cars aired in summer 2021. Only 5 episodes. Fans immediately knew something was wrong. The show that had run successfully for 13 years suddenly felt rushed, incomplete. Then it just stopped. No announcement, no farewell episode, no explanation. Officially, production ceased due to COVID-19 restrictions that made filming difficult and expensive. But insiders whispered about other factors. Roger Barr, Wayne's longtime mechanic and fan-favorite sidekick, had left F40 Motorsports in 2020 due to ongoing health issues. Roger had been hospitalized twice, including after an accident at Wayne's workshop. His departure left a void the show couldn't fill. Some speculated Wayne himself was exhausted. The travel, the pressure, the years of smiling for cameras while carrying personal grief, it had taken its toll. Others pointed to changing television landscapes where streaming services were killing traditional cable shows. Whatever the real reason, Chasing Classic Cars ended not with a bang, but with silence. Fans were devastated, flooding social media with questions that never got answered. The man who'd invited millions into his world of classic cars had quietly closed the garage door, and nobody knew if it would ever open again. But Wayne Carini doesn't stay down. At 73 years old, he's still running all 3 of his Connecticut businesses with the same passion that drove him as a kid. F40. Motorsports continues buying and selling vintage automobiles. Continental Auto Ltd. handles high-end collision repair. Carini Carrozzeria remains his restoration sanctuary, where perfection is the only standard. His daughter Lindsay now works alongside him as a manager at F40 Motorsports, carrying forward the family legacy into a 3rd generation. She's appeared at car shows, assisted with deals, and proven she inherited her father's eye for automotive excellence. Wayne's also expanded beyond television. He launched a new magazine called The Chase, where he serves as executive publisher, sharing his decades of knowledge with enthusiasts worldwide. His first book, Affordable Classics, hit shelves giving collectors practical advice. And he's preparing to co-host a podcast called Classic Car Talk with Jay Ward, the creative and technical director behind Pixar's Cars movies. Most importantly, Wayne never abandoned his mission for autism awareness. He still organizes fundraising events, sponsors car shows benefiting autism research, and speaks openly about Kimberly's journey. The cars remain his language, but his daughter remains his purpose. That's what keeps him going. Wayne Carini's story was never really about cars. Sure, he's restored Ferraris worth millions, negotiated deals with Hollywood elite, and became one of the most recognizable faces in automotive television. But strip away the chrome and the cameras, and you find something else entirely. You find a son who lost both parents within 10 devastating days. A father who channels heartbreak into helping other families affected by autism. A husband still living in the same modest log cabin he built decades ago, despite having 20 million reasons to move. A businessman who bought a stolen car unknowingly and had his reputation dragged through the mud. A TV star whose show ended without explanation, leaving millions of fans in the dark. The vehicles Wayne chases are rolling time capsules, each one holding someone's memories, dreams, and history. Maybe that's why he connects with them so deeply. They're broken, forgotten, sometimes damaged beyond what others think is repairable. And yet, with enough dedication and love, they can be brought back to life. Wayne understands that better than anyone, because he's been doing the same thing with himself for years. Still driving, still restoring, still refusing to quit, even when the road gets impossibly dark.